All right, so let me know when it's ready so I don't turn around. But I loved Judy's wisdom of um, the idea of trusting in the universe to give us the clues that we are where we need to be. Thank you. And a very wise person said once at a conference I was at, people will follow those who lead. If you don't have a vision, all you have is a fight. And it feels to me the last 8 months were not about a vision. They were just about a fight. Everything was a fight. And I'm frankly exhausted by that fight. I'm craving the vision. That's what I need to motivate me. And that's what you bring to me. Whether that vision is flossin', whether that vision is zero waste, whether that vision is getting plastics out of the environment, whatever that vision is that speaks to you, that's the vision that people will follow. That's what people are hungry for. I know that's what I'm hungry for. And I'm also hungry for my slides, but if they don't, yeah. But if not, I'll just start. So, because I can do this talk without slides.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And then it's just right here? Yeah. All right. So I'm Debbie Raphael. I'm the director of San Francisco's Department of Environment. Not every city has a Department of the Environment, but many do. And I'm part of a coalition of cities from around the world that are working on climate change. And our feeling is we were never going to wait for the federal government, but now we certainly aren't waiting for the federal government. And we are going to take action because cities is the level of action. That is the level where you see change happen. And that's why, for me, I found working in a city to be the perfect place to not do science, because it turns out I decided I didn't want to do science, but I want to use science. And I want to use science to heal the planet. And that's what oh, wow, we are rolling, yeah. All right, so San Francisco, the Bay Area, where you are right now in Marin County, I say that we are the bubble inside the bubble. So the bubble is California, and these cities in the Bay Area is really the bubble inside the bubble. And Judy talked a little bit about that, and so did Aaron last night. But with that bubble inside the bubble comes tremendous obligation to heal the planet and tremendous opportunity to be bold. And we need to take advantage of the fact here in San Francisco, here in the Bay Area, that we are that bubble inside the bubble. If we don't do it here, where is it going to be done? Because what Paul Hawkins said, and I will come back to this at the end, is that cities like San Francisco and people like you in your colleges and high schools do something very important. You rehearse the future. You rehearse the future. We don't know what that future is going to look like, but we start with a vision, and we take action, and we make mistakes. None of us is going to get this right the first time. But as we make mistakes, we grow, and we learn, and we refine, because ultimately, we have a phenomenal challenge ahead of ourselves. Whether we work on greenhouse gases, CO2, toxics, zero waste, food, it doesn't matter. The challenge is, how are we going to take care of this planet where we all find ourselves? But we also have another challenge. If it stays the bubble inside the bubble, and I would say that turning green is the bubble inside the bubble, if it stays in this room and if it stays in the Bay Area and it doesn't go anywhere else, then we're not going to win. We're not going to achieve that vision. We have to engage everyone, and we have to engage people who don't think like us, who don't look like us, who don't speak our language, if we're going to achieve this. So San Francisco is kind of a microcosm for the world in that we're an incredibly diverse city. 48% of the residents of San Francisco do not speak English as their first language at home. We have 73% renters. The average time that a person spends in their apartment is 3 years. We have constant turnover. So there's a huge challenge in San Francisco. There's a bigger challenge nationwide because San Francisco is pretty homogeneous when it comes to political beliefs. So this challenge of reaching everyone is going to be a big one. But here's the problem, and where's the woman from Toronto? Yes, what's your name?
Alice.
Alice. Alice? So Alice, because she's skilled and she's already been in the political realm, is very comfortable with this language. But this language is actually not very engaging. So if you're in the climate world, this is how you speak. We need to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions 80% below 1990 levels by 2050, right? Is that Alice? That's how we talk. Or we say under 2 MOU, and this is like this with the Canadians, and I call it the axis of good, which is Oregon, California, Washington, and British Columbia. And so when this is how, so we all sign this MOU under 2, and it's spread all across the world. The problem is it means nothing to most people. Like that kind of speak doesn't inspire, and it doesn't give you a vision. It doesn't tell you what you need to do. So we need a better frame. We need a way to talk about these issues, to engage everyone, that helps them understand what they can do as individuals. What did Aaron say? Purpose meets passion meets action. That's what we need. We need a way to actually realize that slide that Aaron put up there. So this is how San Francisco talks about climate action, and this is what Missy was foreshadowing. Very simple numbers that have very deep meaning. 0, 50, 100 roots. And I don't have time to go into all the millions of things we're doing on each one. I just want to introduce you to the idea of a simpler frame that can engage people where they are. So 0 is zero waste. Zero waste to landfill or incineration. Many European countries are very proud. They say, oh, we're at zero waste. It's because they burn all their garbage. So this is highest and best use. This is not incineration. This is zero waste to landfills and incineration. 50% of trips in sustainable modes. That means get out of your cars. Okay, so that means we have buses, we have bikes, we have walking, we have ride share. We need to get people out of their cars. And 100% renewable energy. That's not just electricity. So that 100% renewable energy has to do with the fuels we use, the gasoline, the diesel, the natural gas. We're clearly going to have to massively increase our energy efficiency to reduce the load, and we're going to have to buy renewables. We've got lots of stories on all these things we're doing, but that's the idea, 0, 50, 100. I like to say that 0, 50, 100 is how we do less bad in the world, and roots is how we heal the planet. And you are sitting at ground zero of roots. Roots is the idea and the scientifically proven concept that when we pay attention to soil health, when we put compost on soil, it actually radically changes the structure of the soil. It brings it back to life so that soil becomes a carbon sink. Because right now the carbon sinks we have are the ocean and trees and forests. The ocean is at saturation, and trees and forests, well, we'll never plant enough here to make a difference. But what we can do is look at our soils across the world as this incredible resource to suck carbon out of the air. As Paul Hawken says, we don't need to slow global warming. We have to reverse global warming. We don't want to live in a world that's 2 degrees warmer. We want to live in a world that's evolved to how we are now, so we've got to get CO2 out of the air. It's not enough to put less into it. So 0, 50, 100 roots, lots of challenges. So I just want to give you a couple of the challenges we're facing, I'm struggling with right now, so you see that we're rehearsing the future. We don't have all the answers. There's some stuff that's pretty hard. First of all, interesting problem I need your help on, millennials. We did a survey of millennials in San Francisco, and we said, all right, you guys, you're not doing so much on the composting and recycling. What's going on? Their awareness was off the charts high. Every one of them knew what the blue bin was for, what the green bin was for, what the black bin was for. They knew the why. So then you asked, well, why aren't you doing it? One answer, it's too much trouble, too much work. Whoa, what do we do with that? How are we going to shift the millennials in our city, and my guess is this is a problem across the country, to say it's worth it? Because in their head, it's not worth the trouble. So, problem number 1. Problem number 2, this is something I talked about, turnover. And you guys on your college campuses have this problem too. In your dorms, the fact that everyone is there for 4 years and leaves, you're going to create behaviors, but how do you institutionalize the change so that with turnover, when the new people come, they just know it's the hashtag SF thing to do? So that's what we're trying to do, is let people know that when you're in San Francisco, it's the San Francisco thing to do. You compost. You bring your own mug. That's just what we do here. But it's hard when you've got a constant flux. And this one is a little wonky, but I think it's going to be the most important transformational change and challenge for this country and all countries around the world. And that is the problem of natural gas. There is this meme out there that natural gas is a great bridge fuel. It's not coal, so it must be better. But natural gas is pure methane. Methane, I'm going to get a little sciencey here, is the most potent greenhouse gas. It's 44 to 100 times more potent than CO2. And it turns out that our natural gas system is super leaky. So when you are getting the natural gas through fracking, you have all this methane going straight up in the air. When the natural gas then gets into the pipeline and goes across the country, it's leaking along the way. When it gets into our cities, it's leaking along the way. So burning natural gas may be cleaner than burning coal. But natural gas itself, it turns out we are doing a paper on this, and we're going to publish it early next year, that when the leakage rate of natural gas gets to be about 3% of the total, it's dirtier than coal. The published leakage rate, and I can tell you I don't believe this, I think this is BS, is 2.7%. Oh, that's conveniently under 3. And I don't believe those numbers. They're incredible underestimates. So we are kidding ourselves if we think natural gas is the way out of climate change. And this is something I personally am going to be working on very hard for the next year and moving forward. In San Francisco, we're building the case for the true cost of natural gas. We're going to take it to the state of California, and frankly, I don't think we're going to succeed at the federal level, but we're going to make some noise, and we're going to bring this message all across the country, because this is the big elephant in the room. And interesting, this is a problem. These TNCs, that's Transportation Network Company, Lyft, Uber, Fasten, depending where you live, 35,000 additional cars are in the streets of San Francisco right now. If you ask Uber and Lyft, they are the best thing for the environment, but they won't share any data with us. They will not tell us who's driving, how much they're driving, what kind of car they're driving. They're completely secretive. The only reason we know, how many? 1, 2 minutes. The only reason we know what's in there is because we made them have permits. So this is a real problem. I use them all the time, but they need to come to the table, and I could use your guys' help. All right, 05100 routes. That's the meme. I don't want to end with a downer of our challenges. So you have to ask, is it working? Is it working in San Francisco? So San Francisco is an incredibly vibrant city. We've grown our GDP since 1990, almost 15%, or 50%, and our population by 15%. And yet we've reduced our GHGs by 23.5. So if you like wonky, it's working. But we're nowhere near 80, and we've got a lot of way to go, and we're going to need everyone's help. And I'm going to be working hard on those challenges, and I need the millennials to be there with me. I need the millennials to say it's worth it. So I need your help to make that case, because the lady with the gray hair is not going to be the person who motivates them to say it's worth it. That's where you guys come in. That's how we do it together. So Kofi Annan, I'll end here. That's okay. Kofi Annan was the head of the UN, and he said something that is incredibly important when he said it 10 years ago, but it's even more important today. He said, we have the technical know-how to solve the world's problems, but what we are lacking is the political will. What we are lacking is the political will. So when I hear you guys talk about your political will, and I look at my colleagues in the room who have tremendous political will and motivation to make change, and you're going to hear about that for today, you're going to hear from people with tremendous political will. And that's what we need right now, because that's how transformational change happens. And thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the challenge. Thank you, Turning Green, for everything you do to inspire me. And that's it, so thank you.